intro by myself.
What's the music, sir?
Engage. Royal decree. Why? Why can't I find my own wife?
We've gone to a great deal of trouble to select for you a very fine wife.
I want a woman that's going to arouse my intellect as well as my loins.
Where will you find such a woman?
In America. So he traveled across the sea to the land of opportunity, which is where our story begins. Right. And thing that we have been denied for far too long. We're in New York now. Let us dress as New Yorkers. I feel like a complete idiot.
Have either of you ever had any fast food work experience before?
Certainly not. Our first job in the United States. I am Akeem.
Nice to meet you, King.
I have recently been placed in charge of garbage.
That's good to know.
Oh my goodness, it is you! Greetings, Your Highness.
Who was that?
Eddie Murphy. Just the man I met in the restroom.
Artidio Hall. In a comedy fable of royal romance.
When I look at these contestants, what a Miss Black or red is
This woman that's too often. Pick one of them to go home. I want to tear your heart.
And your friend too.
Coming to America.
Wondering, did you happen to catch the professional football contest on television last night?
No, I didn't.
Oh, it was most exhilarating. The Giants of New York took on the Tigers of Green Bay. And in the end, the Giants triumphed by kicking an out-long ball made a pigskin to a big ace. It was a most ripping victory.
Son, you want to keep working here. Stay off the drugs.
All right. Welcome to More Than Just a Movie, where we break down classic Black films. And as you heard that trailer, you know what it is. We are talking about Coming to America. Now we can say Coming to America 1. But before we go in, I would like to welcome my co-host, Leroy Mckenzie Jr.
What's up, good people? How you feeling, lady? How you feeling?
I'm all right. I got your shirt on.
I know.
Unstoppable.
She is Miss B Unstoppable, y'all.
Yeah.
She is not letting anything keep her from moving forward. I love it.
That's right. And you know everybody knows all that I've gone through. Like it was so funny because, I have my own shirts and then I have your shirt and I have other folks' shirt. And when I was going into the hospital, I was like, should I wear this? Because I was going to wear this hospital when I was to go to the hospital when I was getting surgery. But I end up wearing my shirt that says Just God. And that's the one I went into surgery with. Yeah, so you can't compete with the Just God, but it was like
not at all. I ain't even trying to compete on that level.
Because God got me being unstoppable. How about that?
How about that? Absolutely. Love it.
All right, you ready to do this show again?
Let's go.
All right, so we are talking about Coming to America. We will touch on Coming to America a little bit. But on More Than Just a Movie, we talk about the movie, yes, but we talk about it in a way that no one else talks about it. We'll bring other factors into this conversation while going over our favorite scenes and lines. I mean, there's so many different scenes and lines that, we pretty much don't even have to prepare for a lot of these shows because we've seen these movies 1,000,001 times. And Coming to America is so many people's favorite movie, not just Eddie Murphy movie, but favorite movie. So that's why so many people were so concerned when they said, hey, we're going to do a sequel. They're like, don't mess up. 30 years later, don't mess up. But I like the way they did the sequel because even though a lot of the same people were in it or the same characters, they still made it in a 2021 kind of idea. So it wasn't a sequel. Even in the movie of the Coming to America 2, they said, yes, why made fun of his ass. There was something like that. They movie and they dropped a lot of different innuendos, which I thought was funny because they even talked about it in a comedic way in Coming to America 2. For what it was, good Coming to America 2 already. Just because I love watching movies over just to see the little subtleties that you might not have seen the first time or the second time. And I liked it for what it was. I didn't compare it to Coming to America 1 because you can't compare that classic to anything, even if Eddie is doing it himself. You just celebrate. All right, so Coming to America was released June 26, 1988. This is the first movie that we've done in the 80s.
Yeah,
yes,
wow.
The end of the 80s. I think I was a junior in high school, right? Because all the other movies, this is episode 7, and the other movies, the other 6, they were all in the 90s, and Leroy and I were talking about that. But this is Coming to America, almost in the 90s, 1988. I was a junior in high school. The budget for this movie, well, all the people know that this is going to be a spoiler alert. If you haven't seen Coming to America, this show is a spoiler alert. Let me just get that out. Eddie Murphy, if you weren't blessed enough to see Eddie Murphy in his heyday, like Leroy and our generation was, you missed a treat because Eddie Murphy, you know, on Saturday Night Live at 19 and doing movie after movie after movie after movie. And not just movie after movie, I mean blockbuster hits. You know, blockbusters, like millions of dollars, not to mention his Raw and Delirious and all his stand-up movies. But he was the first to do, outside of Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor in the 70s, doing like Stir Crazy and all of those movies. But Eddie Murphy was the first Black man to bring that back, to have that white counterpart. And then you see Will Smith do it in Men in Black and different things. But he kicked that off again. And if you look at the buddy cop situations and those type of things, Eddie Murphy kicked the door down again with that. I mean, he was a beast. There was so many different movies, like back to back to back to back. They were all a hit, you know. And then we talked about Boomerang already. So this is the first person that we're doing like 2 of their movies when you think about it, I guess, Eddie Murphy. Because we did Boomerang and then Coming to America. So that already shows you. And him creating Coming to America and creating the characters. But let's just, so it was made for $36 million in 1988. And it grossed just in the US at that time $128.1 million.
Oh, wow.
So it was made for $36 million. You do the math. And it made $128.1 million. And that was just in the US at that time. We don't even know what it is now. We have no clue what it went through in, you know, VHS sales, DVD, Blu-ray, you know, now it's on Netflix, I think, or Hulu. I see. You don't know what it's doing now, but back then that was huge. And Nile Rodgers from Chic did the soundtrack to that. All right, I'm gonna stop talking and I'm gonna ask Leroy, what does Coming to America mean to you? When you think about Coming to America and you were in your teens when this came out, or early 20s, what do you think?
Because I was 19.
Yeah.
19 in 88. I was 19 because I was.
And I was
depending on the time frame. I was either in my freshman year, my what do you call it, the spring semester of my freshman year, or the fall semester of my sophomore year in college.
Yeah.
So and this was after 48 hours. So this was one of Eddie Murphy's kind of outside of that norm movie to me, especially when that came out. And of course, I don't remember when I saw the movie. So I know that it was one that everybody looked forward to because, like you said, Eddie Murphy was Hollywood hits at that time.
Yeah.
You're talking, like you said, Saturday Night Live. You're talking. I think he had probably just come off of 48 Hours. I think 48
Mm-hmm.
Hours was probably just maybe before this one,
Mm-hmm.
and everything. So he was hitting that. He was climbing that mountain at this time
Yeah.
with Coming to America, and it was a blockbuster. It was something that
Yeah.
it didn't have. It had very little cursing in it at all, which those of us that know Eddie Murphy knows that he got a mouth on him. So it was the first movie of his that didn't have any cursing or anything like that. It was a cultural, and I even watched the interview of him recently when he was talking about that, when he was talking about Coming to America. It was a cultural movie. He purposely did the attire and all of that stuff and wanted to be able to
Shout
see
out to Ruth Carter. Shout out to Ruth Carter that did all the wardrobe.
the
She just got
wardrobe.
her Hollywood Walk of Fame. She did it for the second one. She works with Spike Lee and everybody. So
Right.
yes, she came through.
So yeah, so those were images that you got to think. Those of us, we were coming off of what the boom, the bang bang shoot 'em up. All they saw was stereotypes of us being drug dealers and everything else that
Mm-hmm.
was in the movies. That's all you saw. So this was refreshing,
Mm-hmm.
and to me, probably the beginning of that what we call those cultural movies where we were depicted in so many other characters other
Yeah.
than the drug dealer, the pimp, and all of
Yeah.
those kinds of movies that we were so used to seeing the roles that we played in. So this was
Yeah.
royalty. He was
Yeah.
royalty in this movie. So putting us in that position where we could see ourselves in that way, I thought was great to be able to do and to see at that time, and I loved it. This is probably one of my, if not between this one and between Coming to America and Boomerang, are probably my two of my favorites of his because they were so professional. Boomerang was the professional black man, professional black people. This one was royalty and how they showed us in such a different light that I loved it. The other ones were pretty cool, were good. 48 Hours, of course, was 48 Hours. He was dynamic in that one.
Trading places.
Yeah, trading places was
Yeah.
hilarious. So
Trade places.
yeah, but this one was specifically about us. This was, I think, for us, and I think that you can tell. I mean, it more than tripled the what it cost. That's a heck of a return on your investment there. 36 million, and it made 100. Would you say
Yeah.
128?
Now.
128 million? Like you
Yeah.
said, you do the
It
math.
had John Lane
Yeah,
correcting it. Yeah.
Hollywood was loving him after they saw those numbers, and
Yes.
he's still getting checks off of that movie.
Yeah.
Still
Yeah.
getting
Yeah.
checks.
But when he was doing he still is, and when he talking about Coming to America too, like you said, you saw him in the interview. He was saying that because this was such a black movie with black people and talking about coming to America from Africa, they forced him to put Louis Anderson. They said, you got to have a white boy. And that's how they used to do it. Like they were like, you can't have an all black movie. So when I saw him on the second one, I was like, dang, you wasn't even really supposed to be here. But they put him in, and of course, there's no diss to Louis Anderson. It's so interesting that they say you got to put a white boy in it. So they might have told Eddie Murphy, you got to put white people in there. He was like, I'm going to give y'all one, just like y'all be giving us one.
Right.
I don't know if he said that, but he might have been like, just like y'all give us one, we going to give you one. And that's what it was. You're absolutely right. In 1988, to have a cultural movie like this and to have African garb and, your royalty. I mean, it was on them when John Amos said that. Remember, his money to have and to show that type of imagery. Like these are kings and queens over here. Oleon, rest in peace to Madge Sinclair, showing herself as royalty, and of course James Earl Jones is our royalty anyway.
I know, right?
and just having that image and having that image in the culture to have arranged marriages in a lot of African countries in the continent, they have those, so just really showing that imagery and not just having a comedy, but just also having a storyline about love. And sometimes you got to seek your own love and find your own love and all of those different things in there. I thought it was amazing. So amazing that, 33 years later, people can still say out of all the movies that came in 33 years, that Coming to America is still their favorite. That's an impact. You talk about impact all the time. That's an impact.
Yeah. I mean, and just you don't, and I'm quite sure when Eddie Murphy made it, he wasn't thinking about the impact that it would have years and years and years down the line and everything like that. Because now with the Coming to America introduces a new generation of young people to Eddie Murphy, because they didn't know, most of them didn't know about Coming to America, except for if they happen to watch it with their family and stuff like that. But so they got an introduction to him, and this will make them probably go and watch more of his movies and everything like that. This is just one particular aspect of it. But like you said, the African royalty, Madge Sinclair, she just had the aura of a queen. And I don't know, and a lot of people won't remember.
You remember he was on Trapper John, MD?
Yeah, you see, we are just too much alike. I was literally getting ready to say that. I remember her from playing the nurse on Trapper John, MD. That was my show. I used to love the show, but I remember her from on there.
And you know who else was on there? Jumping the Broom. The dad on Jumping the Broom was on Trapper John, MD.
Yes, he sure was. Yes, he was. He was one of the other doctors. He was the black doctor on Trapper John, MD. He was the only black doctor that was on Trapper John, MD.
You can tell how old we are. Young people watching probably like,
they ain't got a clue
right now. See what the heck they're talking about.
They don't even have reruns of Trapper John. That's what they need to put on TV Land or something. They need to put that show on there, because that was a great show. That was a great show.
It really was.
Yeah.
And it showed Black doctors and nurses. So think about some of those shows like St. Elsewhere with Denzel with the Gap before he got his Gap closed, and all of those different shows that showed Black people in that life, the progression.
Even L.A. Law with my boy Blair Underwood with playing an attorney. All of those movies that did, and see, I guess that's the misnomer, that there weren't any positive Black role models on TV or figures that we could see. When you look back at it,
just wasn't abundance at once. That's all.
Right, exactly. And they weren't talked about or emphasized as much as they should have been, because they were just like this movie. This movie emphasized the African culture, the Black culture, and him, Eddie Murphy's character, wanting to not go with the traditional upbringing that he had received, like you talked about, the prearranged marriage and all of those things. He wanted to be able to find someone that loved him genuinely, not somebody that was necessarily forced to love him. And she could have. I mean, Vanessa Bell Calloway. I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Right. Whatever you like. You said you would have took Vanessa Bell Calloway because in her 60s, she's still looking good.
She's still looking good. She's still looking fire. So,
and she's a cancer survivor too, and she's still looking good. Yes.
So all of those things played a part in this, and him wanting to be able to find someone true, what he felt like was true love, because he wasn't necessarily feeling the Vanessa Bell Calloway's character. And he was like, he didn't want her to tell him what he wanted to hear. He wanted her to be her individual self, which is kind of contrary to what you get these days, because a lot of men think that they would be that. Eddie Murphy character would love a woman to just say whatever you like, whatever you want, hop
Right.
on one foot, walk like another.
But that's the myth, right? But that's also, I agree, that's the myth. And then also for Eddie Murphy, because remember in his stand-up Raw, he talked about mfufu. You know what I mean? And talking about mfufu. So then you have that, and then that growth also saying, you know what, men want a woman that got something going on. Men want a woman who got their mind. So contrary to what you think, that with Black women, we want them to sit down and shut up and do what we say. No, let me tell you like this. We want you to have something going on for yourself. So even in Coming to America 30 years later, when his son was in that position, it was the same way. Like he was like, I need somebody with something going on, you know, and you got to have dreams. And, you know, he was fortifying, like, why can't you open your business, you know, to the girl who he ended up, you know, marrying. But I love that. So thank you for bringing that up. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's just it's become so much of and I get it. That was our culture. That was our African culture back then, and it still is. I think to this day, I think it's still somewhat a part of it. But I've always had the mindset that I'm not trying to control. I don't want to control the woman that's in my life. I don't want you totally dependent on me. You need to be, because I've always said this. If something happens, then what? Then what you gonna do? I said, so having somebody that's totally dependent on you and financially and all those things, like, no, you need to be able to handle, you be able to have a skill set. You need to be able to have a skill set that will want you to be able to do something in case I'm not here. Yeah, I want to make sure that I have a life insurance policy and that you have money to be able to, you know, to be able to live and stuff like that. But at the same time, you got to have a life. You have to have you have to have both men and women have to have a life outside of your spouse. There should be a life outside of your spouse, and they shouldn't be the be all end all to you and wrapped around everything that you do. I'm sorry, it's just to me that's a real man. A real man doesn't need a woman doing everything, cooking his food all the time. Yeah, I love it. Somebody cook me some food. I love that. Same way I would do that for us.
Cook for us too. You know what I mean? So I agree with you. So like that reciprocal type of thing.
Yeah, you know, but not a lot of people, you know. Nowadays, they won't call you a simp if you say something like that, or whatever the definition that they want to try and use, or whatever. I'm like, y'all. I've never been one to acquiesce to what culture and what people say. I'm a man regardless. I'm a grown man at that. Yeah. So I don't need you. Yeah. I don't need you telling me you don't define who I am as a man. So
exactly.
I just think that Eddie Murphy's character wanted to go and find someone on his own that he could feel, and he was genuine. Even when he got to America, he was genuine. Wanted to take the minimum wage job working at McDonald's, and I know we gonna get into that.
Yes.
Working at McDonald's.
So let's get right into it. Yeah. All right. So like you said, he comes over, he wants to come, and he spins the globe, and he wants to go to America, and he picks Queens. I love it. The Queens are in Queens. Let's go to Queens. And then he comes in all his royalness to Queens, looking like like a very obvious that you ain't supposed to be here. And then, you know, Arsenio says, we have to fit in, like we can't. Right. And then coming out with all that tourist stuff. That's how some tourists look too. And they come out like that.
And you know New Yorkers. You know New Yorkers, Queens. They know when you're not from there. It don't. Right. He could have had.
He got all the buttons on, the hat, the shirt, the jacket. Right. So let's talk about it. Eddie Murphy, Arsenio Hall. We have Sherry Headley. We have Eric LaSalle. We have Cuba Gooding. His first role in the barbershop.
If people have noticed that, people might not have noticed that Cuba Gooding was the young man sitting in the barbershop chair.
Yeah. When he said,
I didn't realize it till years later. I didn't realize it till later
because he wasn't famous.
Well, that's
he
true
was just a boy sitting in there. So then when he started looking recognizable, then like, oh dang, that was Cuba. But just think about that. Just think about when he's like, that'll be $8. And everybody in the barber shop was played, of course, by Eddie and Arsenio, except the one other guy. And I didn't find out till recent years that that's Eddie Murphy's friend since junior high school.
Right.
What's his name? Clarence, Clean.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Something like that. But that's his friend. So to have that dedication, and then he's in it, you know, this time, that boy good. He still said it in the next one. I was hollering. He still said it in the next one. But Sam Jackson was in it.
Yep.
Of course, we talked about Eric LaSalle, Let Your Soul Glow. Madge Sinclair, we talked about James Earl Jones. John Amos, which everybody knows him from the dad on Good Time. James Evans.
He'll always be James. He'll always be James Evans.
Always be James. Who else was in it? We said Louis Anderson. Just so many. Garcelle Bouvois, which we didn't know. Yeah. She's in, now.
Yeah, she was in there.
I know my mom, one of my mom's friends that she used to model with, her name was Shield. She was just one of the, I don't say just, but a flower lady. But so many different people were in that movie. Yeah. So he comes over to America to find his bride. Like Leroy said, he wanted someone to love him for him. He didn't want them to love him because of a king, because he wanted them to love him for who he was and not what he had. So he came to America to find his bride, not to sow his wild oats, but that's what his father thought. So even living below their means to come in and play the part. So then, do you want to talk about they found the job at McDowell's? You want to go from there?
Yeah. Yep. He goes and he didn't want to live like he lived over in his country. So he figures, okay, what's the kind of like the menial job I can get that will allow me to be able to meet somebody who would kind of see me for me and the authentic person that I am. So he was like, they get the job at McDowell's, and it's just funny how he goes to explain when
they have golden arcs. We have the golden.
Right. That just cracked me up. The way that he put that and everything like that. So they get the job, and they are, they're the folks that they kind of mop the floor, wash the dishes, clean the windows, all of those, pick up the trash and everything.
All like that before you can even get on the fries. You got to be able to do the maintenance part of it.
Got to do the yes, sir. Absolutely. Those of us who had that restaurant background know it. So, with him doing that, he comes to meet the young lady that he finds very attractive, which is, of course, the owner's daughter, one of the owner's daughters,
Lisa McDowell.
And she is.
She always gets the good ones.
I know. But she's the nice daughter. She's that humble, cute, cute woman that's humble, that has a heart for other people. And that's what I think attracted him to her, because she was so nice to him. She was the one that treated him nicely, as opposed to the father who didn't, he could care less about it. He was just like, look, I just need you to go do this. I need you to do that. That type of thing. But Lisa treated him like a human being, which is what he was looking for. He was looking for a woman that would be able to treat him nicely. And his thing was, hey, if she's treating me like this and I'm just a common person and I'm nowhere near, on her level or what she would think would be on his level, he was like, wow, she's a great woman. I gotta get to know this woman. I gotta find out more about her and everything like that. So he goes on his quest to learn more about Lisa McDowell.
If you're really a prince, I'll marry you.
Now that's the second daughter. For those that don't know what she keeps saying, that's the second daughter right there.
That was the old lady. lady. No, that was the old lady on the train. Remember, she had the rubies.
Oh yeah.
And he gave to him.
Right.
He said, "If you're really a prince, I'll marry you."
Right.
But the
Yeah,
first daughter was what I
that.
said. How come she always gets the good ones?
Right,
That's that
right.
first daughter. Or the second daughter.
Yeah, the second daughter. I mean, she was that materialistic gold digger. What? How much money you got?
But why the brown skin one? Why the lighter skin one got to be the good one, and the brown skin one got to be the whole?
I know, right? I know, right? And there's something you peep that too, right? So it's just they wind up getting to know him, and Lisa asked him to go to a ball game, and he thinks that she's asking him.
He said touchdown, touchdown.
And they had a Knicks basketball. They had a Knicks or St. John's basketball game in Madison Square Garden, and the funny scene from that, and I'm sure you remember when they went to the bathroom. They go to the bathroom, and one of the workers comes out of the bathroom.
Bondi Curtis Hall.
Yes,
Curtis Hall,
and he recognizes Eddie Murphy as the Prince of Zamunda, because he's from Zamunda, of course. So he was bowing, and he said, "Oh, so great." And they looking at him like, "What? Why is he being so nice?" He just acted like that was just hilarious.
He's like, "You sure have a way with people, Akeem."
Right. So it was funny to see him try to keep that. Keep his wealth and his royalty hidden from people. I mean, but Arsenio was the opposite of Eddie Murphy, because he wanted everybody to know. I'm trying to live this lavish lifestyle. And even when they pimped out the apartment, because he had the hot tub, the big hot tub in there and everything. So Eddie Murphy was like Eddie, and that's why I think not Eddie. That's why Arsenio Hall's character liked the other daughter, the younger daughter, because she was as materialistic as he was.
Right.
And
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, and he even faked being the prince so that he could get her.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's them meeting each other and then getting to know each other and everything. So I thought that was really great.
It's so many funny parts, and like Leroy said, he saw Lisa and she was humble, and she gave him, the attention, not negative attention, but made him feel regular and like a person, and he, and he knew that it was pure. So even when they're dating and he falls for her, and every time someone hears "to be loved," to be loved, oh, what a feeling to be loved, and they were like, "Shut up," and he was just, he was so just so happy and thrilled, and everyone knows that feeling when they first fall in love, like you just want to sing, and you just want to, and someone loving him or liking him for who he was, and that's all he wanted, and that's what most people want. And I love the fact that he factored in, trading places when he gave the bums on the street money in the bag. And then later they refer to them again, even in Coming to America too, with the picture on the wall. But I just like the fact they were showing, even when he had money and he's royalty, he's generous, and he gave that money. But what was funny was when he gave, because Simi got all the money from when he said, "Okay, so how much you want?" From Zamunda. Remember, he went to the little check cashing place, Western Union place.
Western Union, right.
And he got all of the money. And that's when Eddie Murphy's like, "No, we can't have it." And he was used to being, having money and having the royal bathers and, people, your royal penis is clean, remember?
See, I wasn't going to say, I thought about it, but I didn't know if you wanted to bring it up or not. But
go ahead. As a man, please do the honors. Bring it up. And talk about what that's like to have that kind of, if that was real, or is it real, or do people really get that? Inquire my know.
For those that haven't seen the movie, this is another spoiler alert. So y'all should have been watching this movie by now. So, but that's one of the first scenes in the movie though, because that's when you first get to get to meet Eddie Murphy's character and everything like that. And he's waking up and they're, he has somebody brushing his teeth and
with a gold toothbrush,
right, with a gold toothbrush, and he's going through his morning ritual, but he has someone to do everything for him. They put his slippers right in front of him, so all he has to do is put his feet in his slippers, and then comes the scene with him being in this big hot tub or big tub, and you have this woman comes up and she says, "The royal penis is clean, Your Highness," and Eddie Murphy gets this look on his face like. Okay.
As only Eddie Murphy, his faces are funny, and then move the lines.
Absolutely. So that was that. Even that in and of itself was just funny because you think about royalty and everything like that, and then for them to do that in that way, it was like they are so crazy at doing that. So. Yeah, that was definitely for the brothers. It was like okay, I can see that part of the royalty, enjoying that. So
you said you would wear the long tail for that. You would wear that long tail if you were getting printed prints like that. You would even settle for the tail, just to have that treatment.
Absolutely,
that's so funny. I mean, there's so many classic lines in Coming to America. So as we travel through the show, thinking of just even when they were hitting me and just thinking about them. But so as it travels through, and then they go to the shop beginning, and genius, Eddie Murphy and Arsenio, just genius. And using all of the mockery and the funny and the ignorance of what people of Africa. I love that they put that part in to just show how ignorant people sound back when they were like, oh yeah, princess, and just saying the different names. And, I thought that was, I'm glad that they put that in just to show the ignorance too, that people think of Africa. And they're saying, you know what, this is royalty. We royalty coming up in here. You know what I'm saying? So just to even show that, are you sharing? Did you share it? I'm sorry. I didn't share it on Facebook and everything. You shared it?
I did.
Okay. You tagged me. Okay. Thank you. Because we just jumped right in. But just even that part is funny. And then so traveling through and then discovering the different things. But I wanted to read some trivia that people may not know. So 10 facts about Coming to America. Paula Abdul choreographed Coming to America's opening dance scene at the Palace in Zamunda.
Oh, cool. No, I didn't know
that.
So
a lot of people, so the new one, Fatima Robinson did, but that was, and then also Zamunda, and some people say Zamunda, however you want to say it, is an altered version of the famous writer's name. So in the documentary, they say one of the screenwriters was David Sheffield, named the Kingdom of Zamunda after Bob Zamunda, and it was just spelled is Zamunda, Z-M-U-D-A. And it was a writing partner, Andy Kaufman. So the writing partner's close friends, so they merged those names to come up with Zamunda. And then also director John Landis and Eddie Murphy did not see eye to eye. So they were clashing up a storm. So it came in, it still was a beautiful movie. So you never know what really goes behind the scenes. Right. And then also in 1989, a year after it was out, a pilot for the TV version of Coming to America starring Tommy Davidson was in speculation. And then I want to give something else. So McDowell's, as Leroy was talking about, was actually a real Wendy's in Queens.
Oh, okay.
That they kind of changed. And then what else I want to say? And then they talk about Cuba Gooding, which we talked about. That was his feature film debut. And then also James Earl Jones and Madge Sinclair, the king and queen of Zamunda, were also the king and queen of The Lion King. Everybody knows that. And then also we talked about this a little bit from Trading Places. Don Amici and Ralph Bellamy made the cameos when he gave them the money. And then Coming to America pays tribute, as I was just talking about, with the Roots talking about, oh yeah, Kunta Kinte.
Let me tell you, that barbershop scene is just classic.
Yeah.
It is a classic. Like you said, it has so many. This movie had so many lines in it, but
Yeah.
so much. And I know you're gonna do that because you have the segment that you talk about the different lines from the movie and everything like that. But that barbershop scene, that's true to life about what goes on and what gets talked about in the barbershop. Trust and believe that. If his mama call him Clay, I'ma call him Clay.
Right. They're talking about Muhammad Ali, but it's a lot of ish talking in the barbershop, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I ain't been in a barbershop in about 20 years, but it's a whole lot that goes to talking that goes on in the
Let me tell
barbershop.
you, my little brother is in his early 40s now, but I used to take him to the barbershop and I spend time in barbershops and it's a whole lot of
Yep.
ish talking up in there.
Ain't it?
In barbershops. And then I also, one of my friends, she owned a salon and I would go in
Okay.
there with her a lot. It was a salon barbershop. And yeah, it's a lot going on there.
It's
So
a lot.
all of that stuff, like you said.
You can't come in there if you're not real. You cannot.
Right.
You better not be in there if you fake, because
You want yourself crushed. They might call you more than Kunta Kinte.
right. That's for sure.
So as we go through the movie in the barbershop, and he finds Lisa, and then Lisa has her boyfriend, Eric LaSalle, Soul Glow, was a punk. He was a punk because when Sam Jackson came in trying to rob him, he was all crawling and hiding. Where, Prince Akeem got that broom out, transformed that broom. And that's when, and then also he was a punk again because when Prince Akeem put the money in the collection plate,
put a lot of money.
Eric LaSalle, was trying to act like he did it. And no woman wants a punk or a liar.
Absolutely. or what I call, let's put it in our modern day vernacular, a simp.
A simp. Look, let's take it up. A simp that be capping, okay?
Right.
But it's so true. When you think about the lines here, so let me just, like Leroy said, I want to talk about some of the famous lines and we'll talk about it. And we're going to start with the landlord. It's a damn shame what they did to that dog.
Because they still got the chalk mark. We just took the crown tape off. It was like, here you go.
That was Mr. Faison.
Yes.
That was funny. Oh my goodness, when he said that. So when you think, and then, Clarence, damn boy, what was that? Some kind of weave or something? Remember he did that in the barbershop? He said, no, only juices and berries.
No, he said that ain't nothing but ultra perm.
So Leroy and I are laughing 33 years later. That's when you know it's a good movie and it's on point every time you hear it. All right, so ish, that ain't nothing but an ultra perm, like you said. And then of course, Randy Watson. Give it up for Randy Watson. How many people have said sexual chocolate over the years? Sexual chocolate.
I know, right? Yeah. Absolutely.
Think about that.
Absolutely.
Think about that. So then, Reverend Brown. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right.
And it's not a saying, but the signature of the movie to me was when they're at the house and the family's sitting at the couch and they all three get up because they got the Jerry curl juice. The Jerry curl juice on the back of the couch.
1, 2, 3. They get up at the same time, and honey, those juices was dripping.
Juice dripping down on the couch.
Oh my goodness! And then, of course, I'm gonna hit you with some more lines later. But let's talk about when they were looking in pursuit of the woman, and they went to the club.
Yes.
And
Oh
they
my
went
God. Oh yeah.
looking. I worship the devil. Can I tell you the secret? I worship the devil. I'm like, oh God. And then you got Peaches and her twin who made an appearance 30 years later.
Yes.
On
Yeah.
Coming to America too. I
Yeah.
said, brilliant. But
Yeah.
that whole scene and Joan of Arc with the little candle
Yes.
and trying to find it, and you know, that 80s music pumping in the background and him looking. When you think about Coming to America, and you know, and I think about a line when they got to the house when he kept running back and forth and the music was playing, John Amos and Soul Glow was coming to the door.
Right.
Daryl, look, his name was Daryl. And he was coming to the door, and then he finally told the dog, he was like, sick him, Dottie. And Dottie came running up there, and he was trying to get there. Then he dipped into the sister's room, and she said, let me take these white, wet clothes off of you. I'm like, oh, Lord.
Yep.
But then when you think about Coming to America, like, what's the first thing that you think about? What are some of your favorite scenes and lines in the movie?
Well, like I said, the barbershop scene stands out to me totally to me. The scene where Eddie Murphy, like you said, is singing to be loved, and everybody in the neighborhood is telling me shut up. I'm like, if that's Queens for you, because they were I can see them folks doing that in Queens. Shut up.
Right.
So you know, it just seems like that. I mean, it's just so many.
Yeah.
Even like you said, the singer, Randy Watson, Section Chocolate, and he's supposed to be just from the hometown and coming back, and the audience, nobody's clapping and nobody's paying him any attention, and he goes and sings. I know the outfit takes you out, and then he sings the greatest love of. Singing the greatest love of all.
I believe the children are the future. Keisha Wellen.
He's talking and singing.
That lounge talk
singing. Right.
And then everybody looking at him like this, except Eddie Murphy's homeboy. The boy's good.
You're
and
right.
then I like when he say, I thought it was a trash. When he tried to put the chicken bone, in the collection plate, I thought it was a trash.
But those are just, I mean, all of those, those scenes, and the whole movie was just a great movie. It's a family movie. This is a movie that the whole family can actually watch. But I like the scene, and I don't know if you're going to talk about it or not, but after they've gone to the club and everything, you didn't talk about Arsenio Hall playing dressed up as the woman, talking about he wanted.
And your friend too.
And your friend too.
And we can't forget about She's Your Queen.
Absolutely.
You talk about Vanessa Bell Calloway.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, it's so many different lines in the movie, and when we're talking about, if you're really a prince, I'll marry you, and the little lady so cute on the train, and then. It's so funny because when I'm looking at some of the little scenes, and when Clarence in the barbershop, since you were talking about that, I met Dr. Martin Luther King one time, Junior. You ain't never met no Martin Luther King.
No, it wasn't. You ain't never met Martin Luther. He was like, I have met Martin Luther the King. He had to put the emphasis on the King. Martin Luther King.
But some old men in there chewing the fat, like that's what they're doing all day. That gives them an extra 5, 10, 15 years on their life, because they're just chewing the fat. And it was I loved it, so beautiful, because everyone knows in the Black community that hair salons and barbershops are the staple. We're not even talking about churches, and we already know that. But that barbershop in that Black community, like, you can come in not only for honesty and haircuts, but you can come in for steaks and CDs.
Mr. Johnson's barbershop was the barbershop that I went up to right up in the shopping center, right up the street from where I lived. I would go and get my hair cut. Right there. Absolutely.
And it's and people don't realize, and hopefully that people other than Black folks got to you know, even maybe ask questions or open dialogues. Are your barbershops really like that? Because the barbershops that I seen in the mall that weren't people of color, they ain't look lively and colorful like that.
Not at all. Not at all.
They didn't like super cuts and all of that. They weren't doing that.
Nah,
They
absolutely.
didn't have all that. So before we were starting, you know, there's so many just amazing scenes, and we could do 18 different parts of Coming to America. But before we go into more of the dialogue, Leroy and I were talking before the show, and he brought up a good point. And I'll let him explain to you maybe why he brought up that point. But he was talking about, well, go ahead, Leroy, I'll let you talk about it. When you're talking about the cultures in dating.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting as I looked back on it, and out of all of the time, Kendell, I'd never thought of it from this perspective. Was you had an African man or African person that was raised in an African culture who was coming to another whole culture. He knew nothing about the culture of America, and him getting involved with an American woman, what that looked like. I've never heard anybody talk about that dynamic of this movie, where you had two people who were from different cultures, raised differently, and had to, you know, and wound up getting into this relationship. So I started thinking like, well, wow, you know, is there a cultural, does culture matter when it comes to getting involved with the relationships, whether it's whether it's an American Black and an African Black, an African Black and a European Black, and an African Black and a Jamaican, an American and a Jamaican. Does that cultural difference play a role? And I mean, I know for me, I asked that question. Part of it is because I deal with that. I deal with it that where the woman that I'm dating and involved with, she's from another culture. She's from Africa. So there are differences. There's even the dialogue, being able to talk, and there's certain things that I'll say things that, you know, that of course you and I would understand, Kendell, but she doesn't understand it because she's not from the same, in the same culture.
Yeah. Even the social clues, and even like the past shows that we've watched and different things like that, all of that.
Right.
So you find it different, like when you're having a conversation with your girlfriend and you're talking, can you see that? Because that gave you new eyes on even this movie.
No, it does. It gives you new eyes because it assisted me with seeing it from someone else's eyes who isn't raised in the same culture. Now, she may relate a little bit to the African culture and everything like that, the things that we kind of touched on in here, but from that standpoint, her not knowing about the Western culture, which is what we're from and what we're used to, is different from the Eastern culture, what they're used to. So I'm learning as well. I'm learning about her culture. I'm learning about their food, because their food, the food that they eat is totally different.
Yeah.
Food that they eat.
And they eat with their hands, the food right, and all of that.
Eat with their hands and everything like that. I mean, just all of those are some differences. And if you get into a relationship where you decide to date someone who is from another culture, that's something that you have to become acclimated to, that you have to adjust to. Or you ask the question, is that something that I'm willing to adjust to? Is that something that I'm willing to kind of take on? Because you're going to have to, because you're understanding, and I found myself having to explain things that if I'm talking to, if I'm talking to my buddies or talking to other people, they'll get what you're saying.
Yeah.
They'll get it right away, as opposed to me having to explain some things more in detail. The same way she does the same thing, where I may ask her about something, I'm like, nah, I totally don't get that. I'm like, nah, or one of the things too is their dialogue is so much different that I have to be attentive to what she's saying. I have to really listen so that I have an understanding of what it. I mean, like, what did you just say? I'm like, because you said it so fast. I'm like, what was that? So those are some differences, and even in Coming to America, there was this cultural difference. Because even in one of the barbershop scenes, remember when Eddie Murphy comes in and he's and they say, "Oh, it's Kunta." No, he didn't say it then, but yeah, no, he did. One of the guys, he said, "Hey, it's Kunta," but he
Yeah.
asked him, "Can you make my hair look like this?" And he wanted the jerry
So
curl, right? He wanted the soul glow jerry curl. He had come to this country and he had seen what he thought was going to get him a woman
ain't
or
that
what
deep?
was
Wow.
popular and everything like that. So that to me showed the cultural thing too.
That's
That was
deep.
part of the cultural thing. Even
That's
with
deep.
Eddie Murphy talking about his hair, the way that they deal with the hair, berries and juices. You know what do you say?
Yeah.
Berries
Juices and
and
berries.
everything. Yeah,
Juices and berries.
yeah, juices and berries. It's a natural taking care
Yeah.
of their bodies and their hair and everything like that. So those are the subtle differences that I saw, the
Yeah.
cultural things that I saw in the movie
That's a
too,
good
that I
point.
started to pay attention to and everything. Even when they went to the basketball game, him understanding the game,
The Packers of Green Bay.
right? Even the way he
And
talked,
he
right?
didn't
Even the
say
way he said, "We don't
touchdown.
say that."
Right, right.
Like the Bears and Packers playing.
Right, right. And saying touchdown when it's a
Right,
alley oop or
right,
a jump shot.
right,
But yeah. But then also he was confused on why he said that because something else was going on at that game with the fresh
right.
sister, with the fresh
Yeah.
sister, with the
Right.
floozy of a sister. How come she always gets the we still walk around saying that now, like, because my
Yes.
kids love coming to America, and my
Okay.
kids are in their 20s, but of course I'm their mom, so they've seen a lot of movies that maybe necessarily someone their age wouldn't have seen yet.
Okay.
But we always walk around like, how come she always gets to? Because and like you were just talking about, even with your girlfriend, like with some subtlety, she might not get it. But I can say something to you, and you grew up in Maryland and I grew up in New Jersey.
Yep.
And as Black people, we will still know exactly what that means,
Right.
And can still connect in a way that sometimes other people, although still Black, cannot relate to or not get. So I get it. I never even, and and I love the fact that he did come over here natural hair and did come with juices and berries. And even the barber, which was played by Eddie Murphy, said, I think he said something like, "You don't need all of that," or something like that. Like he was like almost like, celebrate your Blackness. This is good. Like you don't need no slippery Jerry curl. You're good the way you are. And so that also was a message that people probably skipped over. So it was talking about African kings and queens, talking about being proud of who you are, in your hair and your culture. Also, not afraid to put down the crown to work, and mop the floor, and to start from the bottom, not judging, someone for what they don't have because you have everything, and really trying to go out there on love and find love, and not with money, but from the purity of your heart, and really going after what being able to culture stand, even disclosure later, but telling this is not what I want. Like that's even something when that African culture, like you don't talk about, from what I hear, I can't speak firsthand, but you don't tell your parent in African culture what you want or don't want. You're going to follow the rules. So even trying to fly as a man on his own, to find the love that he wanted, that way. So there were a lot of, hilarious parts. There were a lot of gems that we don't even understand. Seeing Coming to America, we didn't see Lisa and Akeem in the bed butt naked. Let's keep it real. We didn't see, he had sex with her before marriage. Think about that. Like it wasn't portrayed that way because, that could have been that way. Like, ooh, be my bride type thing, and how, like you said, the purity of her and being kind or being nice, and also eliminating those stereotypes about New Yorkers or American women being fast, or, although we have the sister, they had to kind of, I guess, balance it out, but to also show there are men out there that are young and Black and for cause or close to their dad or whatever it was. you know, so I think that they showed a lot in that. And I want to go back to this part. You're going to know if I name this. All right. So I'm going to name this. I'm going to read the scene. It's small, and you're going to tell me where were they in the scene. So I don't know whether to shake her hand or kiss it or bow or what. I feel like breakdancing. Who said that?
That was actually Mr. McDowell, or John Amos's character, and it was the first time that they met the king and queen, which is Eddie Murphy's mother and father, when they came to his house. And when he addresses the queen, he said that very thing. He said, I don't know whether to bow, whether to kiss you. He said, I feel like breakdancing. But that was hilarious as well. That was funny too. That was definitely.
I would have loved to see him breakdance. That would have been.
Right.
Been fun.
I know, right? That'd have been really funny.
So let me read another one. I am Akeem. It's nice to meet you, Akeem. I have recently been placed in charge of garbage. So do you have that needs to dispose of? No, it's pretty totally empty. When it fills up, call me. I will take it out urgently. That's good. When you think of garbage, Akeem, what do you think of?
Well,
where that was, but
well, I think he said when you think of garbage, think of Akeem.
Think of Akeem. Yes, there you go. Go ahead, Leroy. Yes, that's what he said.
I told you we done seen this movie too many times.
Yes. Yes.
But that was the first time that he met Lisa, wasn't it? I think that was the first time he had met Lisa, and he was trying to get to know her. He was saying that he wanted to get to know her. So he's mopping, he was mopping the floor, and he was going past the office. So the way that he found to kind of introduce himself was to say that and everything, to try and be as smooth as he could as being the maintenance, the cleaning up maintenance.
When you think, and then said, when you think about garbage, think about
right.
That goes to show you cultural difference too. He
Right.
didn't have no game.
No,
that was
not
no
at all.
game.
Yeah, because most sisters would have laughed at him right then and there.
Right.
Laughed
right.
At him
So then you have, but how can a man get excited about a woman he's never seen? But what is also tradition that times must and always do to change, my friend? No journey is too great when one finds what he seeks. That's deep.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, you got me with this
when
one.
He was having a conversation with Simi. And remember, so Simi was talking about...
were they cleaning the windows?
Yes. And he was talking about, but that's deep. And when I was reading this, I was like, dang, that was pretty deep.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No,
when he said, when he said, let me go back. When he says, no journey is too great when one finds what he seeks. Meaning, because Simi was like, basically, you got this girl here that we can, that you can marry. You can go back to Zamunda and marry her. But then he was like, because remember, Simi was over America. He wanted to go back. He was over it. And he was like, no, I'm finding my queen and queens, and it's Lisa. And he, Simi is talking all of that, and he slows him right down in a kingly way and says, no journey is too great when one finds what he seeks. So meaning you going out for that journey, you're trying to find that woman, and I don't care what you got to get, what hurdles and what you got to climb, that's it.
And so no matter how long it is, no matter how long it is, you go on that journey.
Exactly. And he got his bride. Look, 30 years later, they still married.
But I got a scene for you too, and I don't know if you have any more on your list there or not.
One more. Let me just do one. Okay. And you already know. So at Prince, he's a prince. Oh, Lisa, you did it this time. You hit the jackpot. You're
you got his own money. When I say he got his own money, he got his own money.
Oh my God. When I say he got his own money, the boy got his own money. His face all up for the money. All right, so what you got? What
his one.
Uh-oh.
Remember when him and Arsenio come back from going to all the clubs and everything like that, and they ask the barbershop owner, I forgot his name, but they ask him where can they find a beautiful woman. He was like, well,
Oh.
and they were like, well, we've been to all of the clubs. He was like, well, that's not where you go, son. He's like, you can't go there, son. They at the library. They this meeting I'm going to tonight. There's gonna be some beautiful women there.
Yeah, who's at the something awareness meet?
Yeah, it was
Remember?
some kind of awareness event that they were going to, which is where Randy Watson was and everything like that. But that scene talked about we were talking about the cultural differences too. He
Mm-hmm.
thought that the place that they needed to meet women was in the clubs and partying and everything like that. And Mr. The barbershop owner, he was like, no, that's not where you're going to find the woman that you're looking for. You know, the good woman
Mm-hmm.
that you're looking for. You're going to find the good woman that you're looking for and they're going to be in a library. They're going to be at an
Or
event.
church.
Right. Yeah, he did mention church too. He said they're going to
Mm-hmm.
be in a place that's positive, a place that is, that you're not going to readily see
The
all of
Miss
the.
Black Awareness pageant. That was it.
Was it? Okay, okay, yeah. So he was telling them where he could go to look and find the type of woman that he was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a scene that I thought was good too, and it actually showed too that cultural difference too, because he thought that he was going to be able to find a good woman, the one that he was looking for in the club, and listening again, thinking that like the Jerry Curl, he was going to be able to catch these women in a certain
Yeah.
place and everything like that. But that's not where you're going to find someone like
Yeah.
that in the club and everything like that. So you have to
Yeah.
be where the kind of women that you're looking for are going to be. And when he thought about it, of course, when they went to that event, he was like, wow, he's like, okay, that's when I think he really
Mm-hmm.
saw Lisa in the in the way that he was really like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is somebody that I want to get to know, and that I need to. This is my queen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
And my hair, and I wore my hairstyle like this for a reason. It ain't greasy, ain't no soul glow in it though. Ain't no soul glow. Ain't no soul glow. Ain't no
oh,
soul. Look,
natural,
I ain't
baby.
leaving no spot. I ain't leaving no spot on the wall.
got your screen all greased up and everything.
Was that grease? It ain't no grease. But it's so funny because we still talk about that. And that's a
Yeah,
good point, Leroy. Talking about the culture and what maybe Africans or people from other countries, what they think of Americans, or when they come to
right,
America, what will it be? Do I go to the club? Because that's what I see. I see people booty shaking and men
right,
buying drinks. And what I liked about it too is because if you think about all the shows and the movies now, they can't do nothing without a drink. Do you notice
right,
that?
yeah.
As soon as they walk in the door, they get a drink.
They
Before
gotta
they
get a
go to
drink.
bed, they stress, they nervous, they this. Everything is a drink and a drink and a drink.
Right.
And they didn't believe, like for the most part, coming to America was pretty wholesome. It
Yeah,
was pretty wholesome.
yeah. No, it was
You had your
absolutely
parts with innuendos and thinking about the imagination and stuff
right,
like that.
right.
But now it's hardcore. It would be, totally different. So before we end, you briefly tell me what you thought about 33 years later coming to America coming to America.
Well, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was okay. It wasn't. It didn't. It was nowhere near. And I'm not trying to compare the two. It wasn't anywhere near the original, of course, and everything like that. And it had its line. I love Lisa Leslie. Lisa. Is it Lisa? Lisa
Leslie Jones.
Leslie Jones. That's what it is. She is hilarious. I think she is just
Hey,
comical.
Queen. She said, hey, baby
I
daddy
know, right?
King. Hey, baby daddy King. Every time she came on the scene, I was like this. Like, what's she
Right.
about to
Do
But let
that.
me just tell you, Sherry Headley is 55, 56. Homegirl still looking
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely.
Is
Absolutely.
I can't be good, but go ahead.
No, absolutely. She looked phenomenal, and it had me thinking when they started talking about, I guess, this movie, because they had filmed this back in what, like 2018, 2019, maybe, because they filmed it and
No, last year, like 20 end of
was it?
2019. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
In the
okay.
in the 20, because remember they had that shot on Tyler Perry studio.
That's what I was going to
Remember they
say. Yeah,
filmed some of it in Tyler Perry studio.
right.
And
That's what I was going to say.
some at Rick Ross's house and all that. Yeah.
Right. I was going to say. I was just going to say that they filmed part of it on Tyler Perry's studio. They were filming it then, and I thought that was in 2019. I thought
Yeah,
that
it was
they
the end of late 2019. Yeah.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So my concern was doing, and you tell me what you think. 33 years, that's a long time. Just like with The Best Man, waiting that long to do a sequel, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And I thought that they did a good job of meshing the
Yeah.
two for so long ago, because they had a lot
And
of the
making it
original.
different.
Yeah, yeah, they had a lot of the local the original characters in there, as many as they could and everything like that. But then also incorporating this 21st century kind of
Yeah.
twist that they added to it. I thought that they did a
Yeah.
good job of writing, of writing that. I think they did more of did you notice more of the dancing in this one than they did in the other one? It was more that
Yeah.
they had a lot more of the African cultural stuff in this
Yeah.
one than they
And
did
those
in
costumes, Ruth Carter again,
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, love
Amazing. I had my mom watch it and she was trying to remember the first one and then some of the scenes. And I just put it on and just she was just so fascinated with the clothes.
Yeah.
But quickly, I know we're at the end.
Mm-hmm.
But Arsenio, I saw him do an interview, during the promotion of Coming to America too.
Mm-hmm.
And he was saying that the reason why they did it is because Eddie Murphy is not on social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that. But Arsenio is. And he said he would get so many inboxes and seeing people saying, I'm having Coming to America weddings. I'm having Coming to
Mm-hmm.
America graduation themes. I'm having Coming to America this and that. And then, of course, with the resurgence of African culture with Wakanda and
Right.
Black Panther. And he was saying so many people were so fascinated with Coming to America still to this day.
Mm-hmm.
And he said he told Eddie, and Eddie couldn't believe it. He was like, are you serious? Like people still checking for Coming? He said Eddie Murphy had no clue that people were checking for him and didn't
Right.
realize, what Arsenio was seeing on social media when people were
Right.
having prom themes Coming to America. Like people were still keeping that. I think Candy Burris from Escape, she had a Coming to America wedding, and
Okay.
so many people were having that. Arsenio was saying that Eddie Murphy was like totally unaware of the popularity, and Eddie was surprised. So I know Kenya Barris of Blackish was one of the writers for this screenplay, and of course they did a good job, like you said, for what it's worth. It entertained me, it made me
Right.
chuckle. In some parts, I would love to see some of the people still looking good. And, when, what's his name? The one that's saying Queen to Be, when he was singing Prince in there. So still just, Wesley Snipes walking through.
I know, right?
His
He did a good job. He actually did it. He
right.
did a good job
So
with his character.
Yeah. So it was a lot of little parts that I liked. Some parts were dry, but overall, like I liked it. And I tried not to compare it.
Right.
To the first one, but to celebrate what it was for what it was, and I was happy to see some of the the original folks. I was happy to see what twists and turns when In Vogue and Salt and Pepper and Gladys Knight stepped in the room. Tiana Taylor, so it was it's definitely worth seeing, and I know that it just hit a record for Prime, and it was saying something like 1 billion people watching it every minute, and they made so much money. It was #1 in the country, and it was the highest grossing movie for Prime, Amazon Prime Video. So you guys can research like how much it made, because I looked this up last week, so it's probably even more. So if you're into trivia, definitely looking up to see how much it made, because it was supposed to come to the movies in 2021, but because of COVID. And I know Eddie Murphy's probably like, dang, can I have another movie go straight to Amazon Prime? Because
but you got to think about it.
Records.
He's Eddie Murphy is Mr. Box Office. He has been
Yeah.
Mr. Hits from pretty much day one when he decided to
Yeah.
transition from SNL into movies.
Yeah.
And everything like that, everything that he's done, except for those that you got some of them like the what was that Pluto Nash and some of those that he
I
had
like
in
Norbit though. I did like Norbit.
Norbit. People sleep on Norbit.
I love
Norbit was
Norbit.
probably one of his. I think Norbit. Okay, I'm gonna have to do a versus Norbit versus Nutty Professor. Which
But
one was
see,
better?
I like Norbit, but the thing that why Norbit didn't get the props is because Eddie Murphy had just got finished filming Dreamgirls, and he was up for, I believe, the Academy Award.
Okay.
So because of that seriousness, and then when he came, he was while the awards were going, he was promoting Norbit. So because it was so drastically different. He didn't get enough props, and they were trying to say, oh, he's making fun of fat people and balloon and all of that. But Norbit was a darn good movie to me.
Norbit was hilarious. I
cracked up.
Rasputia, come on now.
You girl.
Absolutely.
He was like,
we gotta do that.
He was pulling the seat up. Oh man, it's so big. Maybe we have to. That's not a real classic, but we might as well do Norbit one of these days to talk about that, because we've been at this right now for a minute. So tell me, as no, go ahead, finish saying it, and then I'll let you end the show.
No, just the one last thing that we talked about with the Coming to America, the second one, Eddie having his daughter in that movie, I thought was
Bella.
I thought that was awesome to be able to put your daughter in the movie, and he didn't, like he said, he didn't give her the job. She had to audition for it and everything, which I thought was really really great, and he didn't want to push his daughter into going into the industry, which I thought was great too. If she felt comfortable doing it, he let her do it. She came and she did an excellent job.
She did a great, didn't she? She really did.
Excellent job.
She really did.
So,
So I have to shout out another, what people might not know. So everybody knows comedian Lunell, love her, but they don't know Lunell's daughter is a professional. Donnell's a professional dancer, and she danced in the movie. So you have the mother and daughter there, and then you got the father and daughter here. And I thought that was pretty dope. She was one of the dancers behind Tiana Taylor when she came out.
Okay.
She was one of those dancers. And shout out to all the comedians they put in there, from Tracy Morgan with his
I know, right?
Uncle Reem, my brother's name is Kareem. So when that part came up, I said, Mom, listen to this. And he was like, Uncle Reem from Queens. So funny. But, definitely had parts that chuckle. And just Eddie Murphy, in closing, just Eddie Murphy doesn't even have to act. If it's his first movie or his last movie, which was Coming to America 2, his facial expressions and how he acts with his body and how he was dancing and doing just the Eddie Murphy thing, it was like Eddie Murphy ain't missed a beat. He ain't missed a beat.
Not at all. But that's just
that
goes to his
Eddie
genius.
Murphy, who just turned 60. He just turned 60 and doing it. So shout out to Eddie Murphy this month. Yep.
That's cool. That's what's up. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Leroy. So anything last words you want to say about Coming to America, and then we'll close out.
No, I think that it's a great one of those culture classics that that we've had, that has stood the test of times. It's one of those movies you'll enjoy, even though we've seen it as many times as we've seen it. You still see there's still parts that are going to make you laugh. You be like, oh, they're just so stupid. They're just so crazy. But it's and like I said too, it's a movie that the whole family can watch. Yeah, it's a movie that the whole family can sit and watch, and everything like that. So I would just say enjoy. I enjoyed it. I know you've enjoyed it over the years. We still get a great laugh out of it. And if you haven't watched it, check it out. I know you can probably find it on one of the like Netflix or Hulu, or I think Prime may have it. Prime may have it because they're running Coming to America too. Coming to America, I should say. That since they're running that, they probably run the Coming to America as well. So I would say you check it out. It's a great movie that you can sit and watch it in the afternoon and everything like that. Get a nice laugh You ain't going nowhere. COVID's still out here, so you know what? Watch a movie.
Absolutely. Well said. And give Eddie Murphy his props because he put a lot of people on and he didn't have to.
Right.
And he stood up for us, even behind the scenes and raising the bar as far as what comedians and what actors get for acting in movies. And let's not forget Eddie Murphy. Everybody thinks about Will Smith as Mr. Box Office and Will Smith getting that check. If it wasn't for Eddie Murphy paving that way, Will Smith would not be Mr. Box Office or getting the money that he got for roles. Let's not forget who paved the way. Let's not forget who did it first. Eddie been doing this. He's 60. He's been doing this since he was like 17 years old.
Yep.
And he shows that still at this age, he still can sell some tickets and people are interested. So shout out to Eddie Murphy for that and his 10 kids.
Yeah, 10.
Yes.
I know he had 10. I knew he had a good 5. I knew he had a good 5.
Was by Nicole. Look, 5 was by Nicole. He had one before, and then he's in a relationship now, and I guess in between. Okay. But hell, you can have 10 kids because he can take care of them.
Right? Yeah. He got enough money to take care of 10 kids.
Okay. And they say he's a good daddy. So shout out to the good daddies and the ones that can take care of him, because Eddie Murphy can take care of, a small city's kids.
For sure.
But this was fun. Can you believe this is number 7?
Yeah.
This is the 7th episode.
Absolutely.
So we'll let you know. We got a couple of them, what we're going to do next week. So every Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Leroy and I are here for more than just a movie, where we break down classic Black films as we did today. It's not scripted. Every episode that we do, we talk about the movies that we love. That's one thing that Leroy and I have in common. And as I always say, I wouldn't do this show with anyone else other than my boy Leroy Mckenzie Jr. Okay?
That shirt. Go and put that shirt up before we go, lady. Go and put that shirt up before we go. Oh, hold on.
I can't stand long, so come on.
I know. Go ahead. I got it.
I'll send you a picture, but definitely support. You can support everyone else. Make sure you support your friends. And then also, I have my personal journey of peace coming out this Friday, April 9th on Amazon. Yes, on Amazon.com. Dang, I got it. It's over there. But definitely get that Amazon.com, search for Kendell Lenice. You can get the books that I have on there, plus the new one. It's also, I'm doing a drawing for the first 25 people. So if you're one of the first 25 people who purchase my personal journey of peace, you will be entered in a drawing, as well as this book comes with a virtual class. But I'll tell you about that in a moment. But thank you so much, Leroy.
Absolutely, lady. It's always fun. It's always fun when we do this. It is always fun and enjoy.
So I keep checking off the movies.
Okay.
Stay tuned to find out what movie we're going to talk about next week. Will it be Poetic Justice? Will it be How Stella Got Her Groove Back? Will it be, you got to tune in next week to see. But bye, everybody. Make sure you subscribe below. Thank you so much for watching. God bless.
See y'all next week.
Bye, Leroy.